Pianist, composer, and vocalist, born in Quebec, Canada, Steve Barakatt first began his study of music when he was only 4. Ever since, his musical journey has taken him through all genres, from classical music to jazz and new age. Touring all around the world to give over 500 concerts to this date, Barakatt's special relationship with Korea dates back to 23 years ago. In particular, his characteristically lyrical melodies have become extremely popular in Korea, his music indispensable for moments of romance. Most recently, his particular interest in environment has brought him to Saemanguem, the largest land reclamation project in Korea. He has composed an anthem for Saemanguem, One More Heart, One More Dream, with an accompanying documentary and the first concert in September that took 2 years in the making. A special friend of Korea for over 20 years, the interview meets with Steve Barakatt to discuss his dreams and his friendship with Korea that developed through music. I could have a lengthy introduction of him, but I'll let his music do the talking. Today on our interview, we're talking with composer and pianist Steve Barakatt. Do you recognize this music? I'm sure you do.
Flying?
Yes.
It's great to hear it again.
How does it feel to be introduced to your own music? It's what we use in Korea to introduce important people onto the stage.
I know, every time I come to Korea, I realize flying is part of the Korean culture now. It's a great honor, especially it's usually played for good and positive occasions.
Like today, right?
Yes.
Now, we're at a special venue today. Tell us about why we're here.
Great time for me to be in Korea to release the official anthem of Saemanguem, the future hub of Asia, a city that inspired me to compose music inspired by Korea. So it's a great honor to be here for the world premiere.
Well, the reclamation project involving Saemanguem is one of the world's largest reclamation projects. And just to put things into perspective for our viewers, Saemanguem is 5 times the size of Manhattan and 4 times the size of Paris. And you were actually there. You visited Saemanguem. How was it? What was your impression of the place?
Well, it's amazing to see that, of course, the location speaks a lot, but more important, the mission of the project, and it's why I was so inspired at the beginning when I visited the place. I said, okay, it's a great place, great location. It's definitely it's going to be a hub, well positioned near China, near so many great cities and hubs. And more important, what the city will be, and the fact that there is a desire to create a better society with several different fields of activities. So this is what really inspired me. And after visiting the place, I had this vision of one more heart, one more dream, because at the end of the visit I said, people will be important, of course. Infrastructure and buildings are important, industrial aspect is important, but more important, it's the people who will definitely make the city great. And it's why One More Heart, One More Dream is like an invitation to the world to come and be part of the city, to be part of this amazing project.
So Saemanguem is a reclamation project. It's very exciting. Do we have similar projects in Canada where you're from?
Actually, I'm working on a similar project in Canada. It doesn't have the size of Saemanguem because it's mostly a city in a city in Quebec City. And we are trying to create a work, live, and play environment. It's called Le Phare. It means the lighthouse. And I'm actually in charge of all the creative direction of the project in order to bring soul to a real estate project. So in a way, yes, it's kind of similar, but it's a bit smaller, let's say. Yeah.
We do have a documentary that shows how the Saemanguem official anthem came to life, so we'll take a look and continue with our conversation.
Because it's very rare as an artist and composer that you have this kind of honor to write a music that will have such a strong meaning.
나밖에
Very good intro. Wow. I said, I need to bring soul to a project that for now is a concept, is an idea.
Now, I want to know, how long did it take you to complete this piece?
It has been a long process because I wanted first to visit Saemanguem and understand more about the mission and the location, and the spirit around the place. So first, it took time and also several discussions with the people involved. So this was the first step. After that, to transpose it into music, it's another process, of course. I went back to my hometown, Quebec City, as I do usually, and took the time to read, took the time also to start with some ideas of melodies. And also, what was important for me, it was to bring a Korean traditional flavor to the music, something I never did before in Korea. So I said, if you write an anthem for Korea, you need to connect with Korean musicians. And I wanted to really find a distinctive sound that could identify Korea. So after analyzing several instruments, I picked the daegum, a very beautiful instrument, and also found an amazing daegum player, Yaram Lee. We got in touch and discussed about the instrument and know how to create special sound which could really make people feel it's Korea. And of course the orchestra, because I wanted to collaborate with a Korean orchestra. So then I got in touch with the Korean Pops Orchestra, and they participated for the recording. The official recording has been recorded by the Korean Pops Orchestra here in Seoul. So that was kind of the main process, to find the right people first and then explore and of course create the music in my recording studio in Canada, and then sending files around the world and trying to find the best people to be part of the production. So it took months actually.
I'm sure.
If I consider the preparation, exploration, research, and then the documentary, because we wanted to express what is Saemanguem and what is the process of writing music, and especially for this specific project.
It's got a very interesting title, One More Heart, One More Dream. Quite romantic as well. How did you come up with that title?
Yes, what I wanted is to approach this project with the human dimension. Music is all about humanity, and I thought the project also, especially now, needs a momentum because it's a project for the future. I thought that the fact that we bring an anthem first at this early stage of the project, because of course the project is developing for many, many years already, but still many, many years to come, I thought that music has this power to bring abstraction to reality. So now when you hear the Saemanguem anthem, you say, this is existing now. This is music, this is a real emotion, and here we are. I mean, One More Heart, One More Dream is an invitation to join the project, because without people, there's no city, there's no future.
Well, let's invite our viewers to listen to it together.
Pleasure. Thanks for welcoming me. Yeah. Things are going very well for the world premiere of one TV news program. Saemanguem, the approach creates a good interest in the mission, so I think it's a great opportunity to communicate.
사에만금 주제곡이 그 취지를 설명하실 때 보면 꿈을 가진 사람들이 사에만금에 모여서 그 꿈을 이루어 나가는 과정을 담고 싶다. 그리고 그것을 표현했다. 그렇게 말씀을 하시는데 결국 그 주제곡이 주려고 하는 메시지하고 우리 사에만금이 지향하는 모습하고가 정확히 일치한다. 이렇게 생각하고 있습니다.
Wow, it's really inspirational. It feels like the sun is rising and you're very hopeful and ready to roll. I really love it. And
Thank
the
you.
harmony between the piano and Taegum is quite amazing. Tell us more about how you decided to collaborate those two.
Well, it's always about understanding each instrument. When I compose, of course, I decide to picture a music with several colors. It's like a painter would do, actually, basically. So when it's time to arrange and orchestrate the composition, it's to find all elements that can bring colors and ambiance. And of course, the Taegum has this very rich sound, and you hear suddenly just a few notes and you say, oh, it speaks. It has a very, very long tradition. And when you can work with such a talented musician like Yaram Lee, which he controls totally the instrument, because the challenge in that case is to combine traditional instrument with a symphonic European style orchestra. Usually they don't work together, very rarely.
Right.
When they work in a traditional context, usually even the pitch and the way they tune between them, it's a different approach. When you work in a production like One More Heart, One More Dream, we work somehow in a traditional European mode, or let's say the way we tune our instruments are, let's say, more European, but the integration of the traditional instrument like Taegum was a big challenge, but he could control so much his instrument, Mr. Lee, that finally he came in the studio and wow, I mean, he had the perfect way of to integrate his instrument to a quite large production, because more than 130 musicians are performing on the production.
Now, tell us about your work with the Korean Pops Orchestra. I know you've been working with them for quite some time.
Because I compose music today, you know, I work for creating new music, because it's our role as composer to create new music. What I like about Korean pops is that they are quite rare, the symphony orchestra interested to create new music, and music for today and for the future. Most of orchestras are mostly interested in the music of the past, which is of course important, because we have great music to promote and our ancestors did actually amazing music. But it's also important to feel that the symphonic music is still alive today, because it is still alive today. And I deal with great composers and arrangers today in my world and all around the world. They are great composers of symphonic music, and Korean pops are dedicated to promote new composers. So yes, it's important, and I'm really happy to collaborate with them, because I believe that they are important for our culture to establish a better symphonic future for the next generations.
Korean Pop's orchestra lives up to its name with a diverse repertoire ranging from classical music to pop and world music. Their concerts are known for conveying both inspiration and fun. Having performed a number of concerts with them, Steve Barakatt is a friend of the orchestra. After recording the new Saemanguem anthem together last year, they're now preparing for its premiere.
이 사람의 작품들은 굉장히 다양한 것 같아요. 낭만적인 부분들도 있고 굉장히 힘이 있는 그런 부분들도 있고 또 유니세프라든지 뭐 새만금이라든지 이런 세계적인 프로젝트에 그런 앤썸으로도 주제가로도 작곡이 될 정도로 그런 여러 가지 이 호소력이 있는 작품들이에요. 그래서 어떤 작품들은 로맨틱한 부분들은 어떤 작품들은 이렇게 힘이 있는 부분들 이런 다양한 요소를 관객들에게 고스란히 전달하는 것이 저에게는 가장 중요한 이번 공연의 임무가 아닌가 생각합니다.
스티브 바라캇의 음악 같은 경우는 이분이 어쨌든 서양에서 오신 분임에도 불구하고 되게 다양한 요소를 가지고 있어요. 그래서 유럽의 문화도 갖고 있고 또 북아메리카의 문화도 갖고 있고 그리고 또 이제 아시아를 많이 다니다 보니 이제 아시아의 감성도 많이 이렇게 가지고 계세요. 그래서 이런 감성들이 어떤 이제 특정한 웨스턴 스타일에만 적용되는 게 아니라 많은 사람들이 공감할 수 있는 이런 감성을 창조해내는 데 있어서 굉장히 재능이 많은 작곡가라는 생각이 듭니다. 그래서 또 한국 사람들이 들었을 때도 되게 친근하고 자꾸 듣고 싶은 그런 멜로디이지 않을까라는 생각이 듭니다.
So the Saemanguem Reclamation Project, right? You were there, I believe, right?
Yes. First, I came here actually in this office to talk with all the people involved and understanding the mission, the goal, and all the different field of activity they want to develop. So yes, I came here before the visit to the actual real site.
And so this is what it's going to look like several years down the road, yes?
Exactly, and it's also the different sections of the project like agriculture, life and science, and industry, research, leisure and tourism. So it was important for me to have the big picture of the entire project in order to have more inspiration.
Since you were involved with it from the very beginning, maybe it's only natural that you come back to it at the end once the project is completed, right?
Why not? I can picture now a recording studio, maybe a music school, concert hall.
Right in the middle.
Yeah, or on small island, who knows? It would be very nice, actually. Good idea.
You've also composed the music. He is from Seoul, she is from Pyongyang. It's about the division of the Korean peninsula. Now, how did this come about?
Well, it's more about the union of South Korea and North Korea. Back to 2011, I just said, why not starting something positive? You know, I'm in Korea for a while at that time. I come here for more than 20 years already. And I said, let's create just a love story between South Korean and a North Korean. And it was more like a fantasy to say, if we can imagine love, then we can start a cycle of love or a cycle of peace. And it started like this. I said, let's create something that will bring peace and love as a subject first. And then we can maybe discuss about it and change in a way, the cycle, because we have a choice to approach things with different perspective. And I say, why not? Starting a poetry, it's like a poet will write about peace, then you can think about peace. If you talk about war, then you will create war. So that was my goal.
I can tell you're a peace-loving person.
Because I know it's the only solution.
It is. So he is from Seoul and she is from Pyongyang. Why not the other way around?
It could be.
It could be.
Yes. I think it's mostly a poetic approach. Most important aspect was to, we hear about a lot of the situation. At the end of the day, I think the goal of artists are to bring this to a human level. Because at the end of the day, it's people. And I like the fact that we can approach the situation on a human level and on a emotional level, because, South Korea, North Korea, we are all, speak the same language, same reality sometimes, different history, of course, different political system. But at the end of the day, it's people. And I thought that the fact that we could bring the situation between two persons makes it, I think, more human and more powerful, probably.
I've seen a clip of you conducting for He is from Seoul, She is from Pyongyang. How was that experience?
Well, I never thought, to be honest, that I would one day conduct a symphony orchestra. But I did it to send a strong message. Mostly, as a composer, I wrote the orchestral version of He's from Seoul, She's from Pyongyang, and I didn't want any piano part. I just wanted to let the orchestral dialogue in front. And I said, why not conducting it? Because I wanted, as an ambassador of the composition, let's say, be there and conduct it more as a message.
You're a musician, composer, and pianist, but I could tell you follow current events very closely and North Korea issues as well. Is this something that's close to your heart?
Yes, I consider myself as a citizen of the world. So yes, I'm really interested to follow what's going on in our world. And I think it's important as a citizen to be aware of the latest news and see how we can make a difference.
Do you think music has a place in the political world?
Music is not politic. I think it is a different world. We are responsible to create a world. Every citizen has its own mission. And I believe that we can influence or inspire, let's say, with different thoughts. And I think it's important that the world is open to several different approaches and to share views. I think it's important, from not only from the political aspect, but for any kind of different backgrounds, cultures. And so, yes, I think it's important to share views.
So the leaders of South and North Korea met for the third time. It was a historic moment as well. With these recent developments, I'm sure families separated by the Korean War are exalted to see finally some progress on that front. Do you think they could be a source for inspiration for you in composing music?
Definitely. And I personally wish to visit Pyongyang and North Korea. I wish to perform. I would be extremely honored to visit the country and play the symbolic music. He's from Seoul, she's from Pyongyang. I would be thrilled. I think we have to understand also that political process has also its own limit. And unification and communication and peace is not only about politics. It's about understanding more about the other culture, and to be open and share culture, share on several aspects of our society. And I think music is part of it. It's why I wish a better dialogue and better exchange, not only with South Korea and North Korea, in the world in general. And I believe music has an important place, and it's important to have music part of it.
Are you interested at all in North Korean human rights issues that have become quite controversial?
Well, I think human rights are important everywhere. I don't think that human rights should be a political agenda or a reason to play the blaming game, because I'm a Canadian and I can say Canada has a good track record of human rights, but it's not perfect. Even in my country, we have human rights issues. Aboriginal people are suffering. And every country has a good track record and sometimes also has some problem of human rights. It's counterproductive, I think, to issue and start the diplomatic relation and saying, oh, you have human rights issues. Yes, maybe, but it's everywhere. So I think we should just reach another level and say, how can I inspire you, or how can you inspire me to create a better world? Because we had a universal declaration of human rights. So the standards are already established in our world. We already said what is acceptable or what is not acceptable. This is already done. We signed this agreement. The world signed it, and it's a legal document. The rest is how can we establish a better relation in order to achieve it on a global scale. And I don't think the blaming game will help.
If you were to compose music regarding North Korean human rights issues, do you think it'll be a dark and somber one or a bright and hopeful one?
No, I mean, I would never go dark because actually it's very hard to understand also the reasons, and also it's very hard to understand the reality. What is the reality? We don't know. Sometimes we think we know, and sometimes we want to know what we believe is good to know. I think the only solution is to build better relationship and to try to propose ways to inspire others.
You participate in social issues as well through UNICEF.
Yes.
What do you think is the significance of your participation as a musician in these issues?
Well, with UNICEF, I'm a musician. So the best thing I could do first was to create music for UNICEF. I actually had the honor to write and compose the official UNICEF anthem to mark the 20th anniversary of the Convention on the Rights of the Child back to 2009. So first, it was a way with the music again to express the UNICEF desire and UNICEF mission to support the children all over the world in more than 180 countries, trying to understand more, trying to communicate more about the reality of the most vulnerable children of the world.
I understand your wife is also a UNICEF ambassador.
Yes, we did a lot of missions together. We had a chance to have UNICEF part of our family, literally, because we were the first couple to be appointed as UNICEF ambassadors. So for us it was important because when you talk and learn about children being a couple, it has a direct link with the family and also the children, definitely. So for us, it was a privilege to be part of several missions together as a couple also. It brought us a lot of connection also on a personal level.
What are some of the social issues you're paying more attention to these days?
Recently, I've realized, because traveling the world, you see it as you know, something that is big, you know, and you discover the world and you want to make a difference on a global perspective. But I realized more in my community. Recently, I realized that in my country, in my hometown, there are a lot of needs. That sometimes we help the world, sometimes it's good to help your neighbor. And sometimes we forget about it because we have a lot of communications from all over the world. We have on our mobile phones the news coming from the end of the world, you know. And I realized that to be involved also in your own community is really important. And strangely, when you open your eyes, you realize that your neighbor can have a lot of sufferance and needs also you as your neighbor.
Right. Charity starts from home.
Exactly. It's true. And we realize it more and more.
Now, your music is heard everywhere in Korea, in commercials, on the radio, on TV. Now, what do you think it's about your music that strikes a common chord with the Koreans?
Well, it's very interesting because when I started composing the music, I said, what is my real mission? What is my goal? And I like the fact that I create music for everyday life. Some composers are specialized in fiction. You know, they create a movie, the movie music, it's a story, it's fiction. My music is more like the soundtrack of your life. I mean, what people are telling me is when I wake up or when I study, when I have a dinner, when I drive, I listen to your music. So I'm kind of the composer of your daily life. And for me, it's a great honor because I'm there for your reality. My music serves your reality to have a better time or to have more reflection or just to explore your inner world. So I think it's a privilege to be part of everyday life, everyday life of people. Yeah.
What have you gathered about the penchant that Korean people have in your music or the taste in Korean listeners, audience?
Well, I was surprised to see that younger generation are very interested in my music, and still today. That's, for me, a very, very interesting reality because when I started back to 1995, I remember the students of university, they were really, really like my core fans, you know, at the beginning. And still today, it's the case. Today, when I go to perform, I see the audience, still a lot of young people, younger generation. And for me, as a composer of symphonic music and also kind of not traditional, but more like classical sometimes, I see it as a very good thing because I think if we want the music to still be part of our culture and society, the younger generation will be, they are the future. So for me, it's important to make sure that the music will still be part of the future generation.
Now, your name and your music has become a household name in Korea. How did this journey begin?
Well, it has been a long process, and also I think it's hard to explain with reason something that is purely emotional. As I always said, a love story, you know, you cannot really explain the reasonable aspect of it because there's no reason. There's only a will and a desire. I think my relationship with Korea started, I was 22 years old. I came here. I came here to learn at the beginning, probably more than to offer something. And my intention was to come and discover the world. I was young and very open to the new society. And to be honest with you, I mean, Korea, as you know, was not what Korea is today. The word K-pop didn't mean a lot. And I can say Seoul as a city didn't look at all like it is today. A huge city with so much action. So I came here with desire to learn. And I realized suddenly that the response of the people when I was playing my music already, my new music at that time, my new compositions, I had a great response for some reasons. I felt like the Korean sensitivity and the way I was creating my melodies and the way they were having this perception of my music was very positive from the beginning. Then I came back and came back and came back because for me it was a very interesting experience to see how Korea will evolve also as a culture, as a nation. I felt something when I came here for the first time. I said, this place will definitely be the place of future. I felt it, and I came back.
And you're here again.
I'm still here, and I'm still very proud to be witness also. Not only here to play and perform my music, but to be witness of a great, great culture and also a great success. Because let's be honest, Korea has been very, very successful, and I think I haven't seen a city, for example, like Seoul, to evolve that quickly all over the world. I've traveled all over, and I've never seen a city booming that fast.
Now, you've worked with so many Korean great musicians in Korea as well, including soprano Shin Young-ok and the singer Hui Sung as well.
Yes.
How did this collaboration, how did these come about?
Well, I discovered the talent of Korea. Amazing talent, emotional, usually with international background as well, because most of the artists I collaborated with travel the world. And at the end of the day, you know, musicians are musicians. And when I compose and travel and then collaborate, we realize it's a small family. And despite the cultural barrier sometimes, or the language barrier, we realize that we are all one at the end. And I hope to collaborate more with Korean artists.
What were some of the highlights that you can share with our viewers, or some episodes?
Well, the collaboration with EXO Chen, I can say, was very meaningful. Not only because Chen is a wonderful singer, because he had the chance to sing solo and we were live. It was really like amazing to have this young man coming with a lot of desire to support UNICEF and to support the Imagine campaign. Our mission was to spread the Imagine campaign to the world. So it was a great moment for me to perform on my 20th anniversary concert, to have EXO Chen, who represents a new generation, who has a lot of fans all over the world, teenagers and everybody. I mean,
I can hear a lot of girls screaming every time you mention his name.
And I had a great connection with him. He's a very sensitive young man, and I felt like he was a pure soul. Yeah.
I see. What are some of the challenges in composing instrumental music?
Well, the challenge is still to find a sound that will make you to have a distinctive sound, because piano is a piano, and you don't have lyrics, and you don't have your voice, which usually your voice has a distinctive sound.
Right.
So the piano usually, it's a piano, so you need first of all to work in a way that people will recognize your sound. So I actually usually record with my special piano that I have in Canada in my studio. So all my recordings have been done with this particular piano, which I cherish a lot. Then it's your playing and your approach and your style, your music style, also makes you different, and that's the big challenge. A voice is a voice, but as an instrumentalist, you need to define your own voice, if I can say, with a special style.
How is it composing for symphony orchestra? I'm sure it's different from composing just for one solo pianist or just one instrument.
Yes, the orchestral approach requires a lot of reflection and a lot of knowledge as well, because there are so many colors in an orchestra that you can use at a specific time. So the time factors, and also the way you structure, and it's an interaction all the time. And you have an instrument, but you can double this instrument, so you create another instrument if you have a mix of two instruments, and you can create, I mean, even today, the possibility it's infinity, you know, so it's like having access to all the colors. So if you're a painter, and you can create all the colors you want. So symphonic music is the same. You start with an idea, and then you need to think of the positioning of the musician, because they interact depending on where they are on stage as well. So it's a huge challenge, and I love it. I love the fact that it's kind of the extension of the piano, and sometimes I write with a lot of piano, sometimes I just let the orchestra in order to establish a real symphonic dialogue. Because I don't like to write the piano in front and just the orchestra behind. I prefer to have a real synergy between the orchestra and the piano. So this is part of what I love to do.
How do you turn your inspiration into music? Do you start to play the piano right away? How does that process go?
Well, usually the melody is always the beginning, and the intention. When I was younger, usually I didn't know really what I was really doing. At the beginning, it was more naive. I was exploring more. Now it's more like I start with a clearer intention. Usually it's motivated by something special. It can be a love story, it can be an emotion, specific moment, or an anthem for an organization. But now I start more with, I would say I'm more conscious of what I do as a musician. So from the moment I start writing, I usually know what the music is all about. Is it specific project or is it specific emotion? Now I know more. So from this moment that I know, I just explore and try to open up. Like a language, like when we speak a language, we structure our words in order to communicate a message.
Speaking of language, have you ever wanted to put lyrics to your music?
I did it many times.
Oh, you did?
Yes. I don't have great lyricist skills, I would say. But I had a chance to collaborate with several lyricists in Mandarin, Japanese, Korean, Russian, Spanish, French, and of course in English.
The list goes on. Romantic, mellow, sentimental are some of the adjectives that are associated with your music. Are you comfortable with that?
It's a side of my personality, yes. And I think it's the side of a personality that people know more about. Mellow, romantic, yes, soft. This is something I love to share, and it's part of who I am. But I'm not only this. I explored in other aspects of music. I did a pop rock album in London at Sir George Martin's Air Studios at the end of the 90s, where I really explored more the typical pop British music. So yes, I explored many different fields of music. Yeah.
But you seem to be coming back to your own style as well.
Yeah, and I also feel that I have people following me and appreciating this type of music. I always said openly that I play music for the people. I'm totally fine with this. I love this, actually. When I compose, when I perform, it's for an audience. It's for the people. I mean, I feel the demand. And I love it. It's part of me. So yes, I like to share that aspect of me.
What's your vision or direction as far as music is concerned?
It's to explore more. And also maybe to bring, I have now this idea of bringing the symphonic world with the K-pop together. I would love to do a special event, big event, where we have the symphony orchestra inviting K-pop artists.
Wow.
And creating a symphony of K-pop where the melodies and the great groove of K-pop music could be mixed with the symphonic world, with all the colors that symphony can bring. Also, I think it would be amazing to combine these two universes.
You have explored many different genres, including jazz, rock, like you said. But you started out as a solo pianist, right? Tell us about how you began this journey.
Yes, I started as a classical little boy playing the piano at the age of 4. My family, actually, on my father's side, from Lebanon, and they were really, really like all music lovers. So music was kind of natural, like, you know, every day the piano was there, my father would play, or my uncles. So music was part of our family. At Christmas time, all the big family playing together. So it started like this. I mean, as a young boy playing the piano, then my father thought that would be good to have classical training. And so I started learning the piano at the age of 5 already. Of course, I always played music by my own. I mean, I was composing and inspired improvisation, and for me it was always a fun thing to do. Academic was important, but also the passion of playing just for fun was also important. But I had kind of a normal, if I compare to other Canadians, I was a hockey player. I was running all around when I was young, and I was playing the piano was part of my life, but it was not just my life. I think a quite traditional and normal childhood, despite the fact that I was on TV at the age of 12 already, playing with symphony orchestra at the age of 13. I always had this music part of me, but it was not the end of the world. Music was a part, but I had also quite a stable childhood, and this is helping me today in our world we live in as an artist. And when you grow up, you realize how important it is to have a very stable background.
And you do have a very international background. Like you said, you are a Lebanese Canadian / married to a Russian woman as well. So do you think this kind of international exposure and international background has contributed in a way to your musical career as well?
Definitely. I remember when I met my wife, Elena. She's a former gymnast on the Russian team. She won the Atlanta Olympics in 1996.
Wow.
And then she worked for a company called Cirque du Soleil. She became a Cirque du Soleil artist, traveling the world. It's a Canadian company, so that's why I've met her actually, because of the link between Cirque du Soleil and Canada. She was in Canada for her work with Cirque du Soleil. She also brought me to her world, because music world is one thing, but Cirque world at that time when I've met her is another thing. It's another world, totally different.
I'm sure.
It's a multicultural world, and I can say that my relationship with Elena not only was rich as between two persons, but also rich as a human being. I learned a lot from her. I learned a lot from her friends. I learned a lot from her country. So yes, definitely, more we know, more we have a chance to exchange, more I think we can understand the reality of others. And I think this is what I think as a citizen of the world we must do, to just understand more.
I believe you have a family. You traveled with them this time around to Korea as well.
They are
what are
with
some
me.
of the experiences that you want to expose them to?
Yes, actually my daughter Victoria, our daughter, she's so fascinated by Korea. She's now 10 and she speaks already 3 languages, and she already told me, oh, how do we say, what is 안녕하세요 and 감사합니다. She was already like learning Korean, and she's very curious about the world. And she's an artist as well. She's a ballet dancer. She's already fascinated by dance and music, and she plays the piano. So yes, we try just to do our best and give her the best we can, you know.
The music industry is changing so fast. With a blink of an eye, you have a new technology, new way of consuming music. What are your thoughts on all of this?
I think it's great. I think the new system of, you know, the digital music, in a way, it brings music to real democracy in terms of music. Now, if you have a good song, if you have a good story to tell, you can reach millions of people, which was not the case 20 years ago.
Right.
Because you had many filters. The industry was filtering the content. You could create a great song, but if record labels are not interested because they think it's not a good song or for other reasons, they could even block some great artists. I think now the fact that we can create a song, put it on a platform, and suddenly millions of people will be, you know, happy to hear the song and will support you as an artist. I think it's a great thing. Then it's a question of system. Then every change needs adjustments, because when the platform exists, usually the laws are not ready for this. And I think it's just a question of time. We already see major changes now in the industry, where the system of copyrights, the system of intellectual properties are already changing according to the new technology. But we have to understand time is important, and it's going to come. So I believe it's a great thing. And personally, I can reach now much more people. As a composer, my music is now available and actually consumed, if I can say, in more than 90 countries at the moment, which was not possible before because we needed distribution and physical CDs, and sometimes you didn't have enough fans in certain countries to even be able to send your music there or to be accessible. So now I think it's a great thing to be able to reach the world with your own music and your own digital content.
Right. Yeah. We do live in some exciting times now.
I think, and we have to see the good sides of it. Yeah.
Sure. Now, do tell us about your future plans.
Yeah. Well, my future plan is to go back to my recording studio because I miss it. To be honest, I have several ideas now in my head that I don't have enough time now to just put it, you know, into music, and I look forward to spend more time now. I mean, it's autumn. It's a good time to be closer to my fireplace, to my Canadian house, and to be surrounded by great friends as well, and to compose more music. That's what I really want at the moment. Then I will come back with new stories.
All right. Now, Thanksgiving is just around the corner. Here in Korea, we call it Chuseok, when we give thanks to our ancestors for the bountiful harvest. Now, any specific plans?
I will spend time with my family. So yes, I will go back to my roots as well. And just, you know, I think it's important to have a period of the year where you can think, because thinking is still needed, I think, in our society, especially now we have so much, you know, influences from all over. We have so much information. I think it's time to sometimes just take good, you know, spend a few days with your family, go back to your ancestors and roots to become stronger for a better future.
Right, some downtime as well, right?
Exactly. I will do the same.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
It was a great conversation I had with composer and pianist Steve Barakatt. He is more than just a musician. He's a peace advocate and much more. All right, I'll be back next week with some more interesting stories. Do join us then. Thank you.